The O'Reilly Factor is on tonight.
The day after it happened, I acknowledged that this was an act of terrorism.
So $3 in food stamps for the needy, $7 in salaries and pensions for the bureaucrats.
Those are just two false statements that the Washington Post has pinpointed as lies of the year. We have the entire list, and we've checked it twice.
Macy's isn't Christmassy enough for you? Macy's? Miss Macy's? The one emblazoned with a bejeweled believe sign?
American businesses making billions of dollars off the Christmas holiday, and that includes big media companies. Bernie Goldberg will have analysis.
I'm so wasted!
Also tonight, a website saying I did not report the new Denver Post marijuana columnist situation accurately. I'll refute that tonight, and John Stossel will analyze.
Caution. You are about to enter the no-spin zone. The Factor begins right now. Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. Lying. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. Ask any court officer in America, and they will tell you that lying under oath is an epidemic in this country. Perjury is everywhere in the justice system. And in our daily lives, we can count on being lied to almost every day. The Eighth Commandment, no longer an imperative in the USA. And nowhere is this better illustrated than in Washington, D.C. Enter the Washington Post, which runs a column called The Fact Checker. In that column, writer Glenn Kessler analyzes the accuracy of what powerful people say in America. This week, the Post announced its top falsehoods of the year, and President Obama owns 3 of them.
If you like your plan and you like your doctor, you won't have to do a thing. You keep your plan. You keep your doctor. Now that Congress has left, somebody's going to be vacuuming and cleaning those floors and throwing out the garbage. They're going to have less pay. The day after it happened, I acknowledged that this was an act of terrorism.
Obviously, millions of Americans cannot keep their health care plan under Obamacare. Capitol Hill janitors did not take a pay cut, according to the Post. And President Obama totally misled the world in his initial statements about the assassination of the American ambassador in Benghazi, Libya. Also on the falsehood list, the NRA saying, quote, Obama's kids are protected by armed guards at their school. Not true. There are no armed security guards at Sidwell Friends School in Washington. The children do have Secret Service protection, but that's a given. The Post cites a falsehood by Congressman Darrell Issa, who said Secretary of State Clinton denied security for Libya personnel with her signature on a cable. According to the newspaper, Secretary Clinton's signature is on every cable, and it's a stamp. There's no evidence Mrs. Clinton was even aware of the security request. Michelle Bachmann gets a falsehood for saying 70 cents of every dollar spent on food stamps goes to bureaucrats. According to the Post, that's simply false. Secretary of State John Kerry makes the list because he said he opposed the invasion of Iraq. In fact, he voted for it as a senator. Finally, former Florida Governor Jeb Bush makes the list by saying that President Obama closed the U.S. Embassy in Vatican City. The president had nothing to do with that decision. It was to consolidate the embassy with the Italian U.S. Embassy in Rome, and it was a State Department decision based on security concerns. Now, some of those falsehoods were mistakes. I think Jeb Bush qualifies there. But some were outright distortions. No lie, it is a disturbing situation. And that's the memo. Now for top story tonight, how bad is government lying? Join us in Washington, the aforementioned Glenn Kessler, who writes the Fact Checker column for the Post. So first of all, you must be busy. I mean, these pinheads just spouting stuff out every day. I mean, how many people do you have checking for you? And how do you decide what to take and what not to take?
Well, it's just me. I'm the one that does
You're the guy. No backup for you. You don't have a brain room like we have here. You don't have any of that.
No. It's a high wire act every day, and believe it or not, I find something to write about every single day.
Well, that's
5 days a week.
That's a given. But with one man, you, as brilliant as you must be, Mr. Kessler, you can make mistakes. You can Can't you? I mean, I'm surprised. I thought you would have backup for that.
No, I've done this for many, many years. Covered all aspects of policy and diplomacy, and I like to check my own facts. That doesn't mean I don't make mistakes, and I thankfully have millions of readers that are very quick to tell me if I have made a mistake.
How many mistakes estimate have you made in 2013, this year? How many?
I would say maybe fewer than 5.
All right.
I can't think of them off the top of my head.
So you're doing pretty well. All right, now, of the ones that I mentioned, obviously the president is the decider, as the former President Bush said. And he has 3 there. The janitor one, that's not a big deal, but it's false. But the one about your doctor and the one about Benghazi, I mean, those are fairly significant. Did the president, when he read your column, ever say, hey, you're right, Glenn, thanks for correcting the record, I'm sorry I did this?
You know, I've never gotten a thank you note from the White House. One person told me I was not very well liked there.
Do they think you're unfair? Have they accused you of inaccuracy?
No, they did once issued a press statement that was titled "Fact-Checking the Fact-Checker" when I gave the president 3 Pinocchios for statements he made about the auto bailout. At the same time, the White House, that column I wrote about Darrow Issa and Clinton's signature on the cable, the White House cited that repeatedly when Darrow Issa was holding hearings on Benghazi.
But all politicians do that. If you knock them, they hate you, and then if you give them something, they run with it. So we're not surprised by that. The Washington Post has a reputation of being a left-leaning paper, but you seem to be down the middle, you know, an equal opportunity Pinocchio guy. But the Democrats are in power now, so they have a lot more power than the Republicans at this juncture in our history. So do you scrutinize them more? Do you scrutinize President Obama more than, say, you would of Boehner, Speaker of the House?
Well, the president speaks a lot, makes lots of speeches, so there's material there. I try not to pay too much attention to, whether I'm fact-checking more Democrats or more Republicans. I really try to look at what's in the news today, what are people talking about. I also try to use the column to explain the intricacies of Washington policymaking. It's more than just a gotcha, but if you want to try to find out how the federal budget works or what's really happening with the health care law, I try to untangle the rhetoric that politicians use.
Well, good luck with that, because it's a morass of, Now, final question. Jay Carney has to go out there every day and defend what President Obama says, when President Obama says about the doctor. Now we all know that's not true, and Carney still tries to spin it. Have you been tough on Carney?
Yes, I have given him Pinocchios. He's not been especially happy about that.
All right, does he have the longest nose in the world at this point? Is there anyone? Cyrano? Anyone?
I have been covering politics for so long that, I have just learned that politicians of both sides will stretch the truth if it thinks it will give them a political edge.
Now, look, you and I have something in common. I make a living in the no-spin zone because I do what you do, but in a different way. But there's no shortage of dishonesty coming out of the precincts of power. Mr. Kessler, thanks very much. We appreciate it. Next on the Rundown, Crowley and Combs react to that, to the epidemic of lying in the USA. Then Bernie Goldberg on how corporations, including big media, are handling the massive Christmas commerce.